the fragile spark. In the endless darkness of space, Earth was nothing more than a pale blue dot, fragile and fleeting. To the countless eyes of the galaxy, humanity seemed inconsequential, weak, and short-lived. Yet, within that small planet, a spark burned, a spark of curiosity, of defiance, and of a stubborn will to survive. Humans were fragile, prone to sickness, conflict, and error. But fragility, as history would show, was also their greatest strength. From the earliest moments of civilization, humans learned to endure. They survived natural disasters, famines, and relentless wars, rebuilding every time stronger and wiser. Unlike other species that perfected themselves for survival within narrow niches, humans adapted to chaos. They learned from failure, innovated through necessity, and refused to accept limits. This resilience, messy and unpredictable, became the foundation of everything that would follow. The first steps into the stars were tentative. Primitive spacecraft flung humans toward distant planets, guided by a mix of science and sheer hope. Humanity encountered alien species for the first time, some curious, some hostile, all superior in strength or technology. The early diplomats and explorers were often unprepared for the complexities of interstellar politics, yet humans survived by embracing their unpredictability. Where other species relied on rigid rules or overwhelming power, humans used ingenuity, improvisation, and empathy to navigate challenges no one else could. On board the small exploratory ship Odyssey, Captain Lyra Chen gazed at the endless expanse of stars, each one a sun for distant worlds. Around her, young officers studied unfamiliar readings, their faces lit by the soft glow of holographic displays. "We are fragile," Lyra murmured, "but that fragility is what makes us strong. We survive where others cannot." Their first missions were dangerous. Stars could die without warning. Alien ecosystems could be hostile beyond imagination. Entire crews were lost to accidents, miscalculations, or unforeseen threats. Yet humanity endured. Each failure taught a lesson. Each disaster was an opportunity for adaptation. Unlike other species that fell victim to their own perfection, humans learned that imperfection, combined with resilience, was an unbeatable combination. As the Odyssey slipped past the edge of a swirling nebula, Lyra reflected on what had been achieved. Humanity had begun as a fragile species on a small planet. Now, they reached for the stars, their ambition tempered by the lessons of survival. Each ship, each colony, each discovery was a testament to the unyielding human spirit, a spirit that would one day stretch across galaxies and endure long after stars themselves had perished. Humans were nothing special by the galaxy's standards. Yet, in their fragility, they held the power of persistence, curiosity, and hope. And as they sailed into the uncharted darkness, they carried with them a single, unstoppable promise. One day, humanity would not merely survive the universe, it would outlast it. The conquerors of fate. Centuries passed, and humanity stretched its reach across the stars. The fragile species of Earth had become the architect of an empire, not built on sheer strength, but on ingenuity, adaptability, and the audacity to survive where others would have perished. Planets once thought unreachable were now colonies teeming with life, their cities humming with human innovation. The first true test of humanity's resilience came in the form of the Xylan, a crystalline species from the Andromeda frontier. The Xylan were flawless in strategy and precision, confident that humans would crumble under the pressure of interstellar conflict. Entire fleets descended upon human colonies with mechanical efficiency, expecting swift victory. They had underestimated humanity's most dangerous trait, unpredictability. Commander Elias Varga led the defense of Proxima 9, a mining colony transformed into a strategic fortress. Human soldiers were not merely fighters. They were thinkers, engineers, and improvisers. When orbital defenses were shattered, Varga coordinated strikes from within the planet itself. Biologists modified the local ecosystem to create natural traps. Engineers rerouted failing power grid to amplify weapon systems. Every setback became an opportunity, every error a lesson. The Xylan, who prized perfection above all, were unprepared for such chaotic brilliance. The victory at Proxima 9 was not a matter of numbers or firepower. It was a triumph of adaptability, of human minds refusing to bow to certainty. Across the galaxy, alien observers whispered tales of humans, fragile yet unbreakable, chaotic yet relentless. Where others relied on predictability, humans thrived on improvisation. Where other civilizations demanded obedience, humans found strength in individuality. Even beyond the battlefield, humanity proved formidable. Diplomats navigated treacherous multi-species councils, often averting wars that had been planned for centuries. A single human negotiator could dismantle centuries-old rivalries simply by asking questions no one else had considered. Human innovation was not only technical, it was cultural, psychological, and philosophical. It allowed them to survive conflict that would have annihilated more powerful species. Technological advancement accelerated in parallel with strategy. Humans harnessed the energy of stars, developed faster-than-light travel, and learned to manipulate the fabric of space itself. Yet, even as their fleets grew and colonies multiplied, the defining feature of humanity remained: resilience. Catastrophes that would have ended other species, supernovae, cosmic storms, plagues, were met with adaptation. Humanity did not merely endure, it thrived, learning and evolving with every challenge. As Lyra Chen, centuries before, had realized on the Odyssey, fragility was not weakness, it was survival honed into art. Humans had become masters of fate, not because they could control the universe, but because they could endure it, bend it, and use it to their advantage. The Xylan would retreat, colonies would rebuild, and humans would continue forward, unpredictable, unbroken, and unstoppable. By the end of the first interstellar wars, humanity had earned a reputation across galaxies. They were a species that refused to surrender, a civilization that turned chaos into power, and a force that had learned the ultimate lesson of existence. Survival is not about strength or perfection. It is about persistence, adaptation, and the audacity to face the impossible and prevail. Beyond flesh and time, millennia passed, and humanity transformed. No longer confined by fragile bodies or mortal lifespans, humans integrated with machines, extended consciousness across networks, and reshaped their biology to endure the extremes of space. Yet even as their forms evolved, their essence remained unchanged: curiosity, resilience, and the unyielding will to survive. The universe itself was aging. Stars flickered and dimmed, galaxies collided, and civilizations that had once rivaled humanity vanished into dust. But humans endured, not through dominance or power, but through adaptation and foresight. Aboard the interstellar Ark Eternity, humans recorded the last light of dying suns, preserving memory as if to defy the universe itself. We endure, one historian whispered to the data streams, because we refuse to be forgotten. Humanity's evolution was both practical and philosophical. Minds could exist independently of flesh, inhabiting multiple forms at once. Ships were no longer mere vessels. They were extensions of thought, capable of navigating impossible distances and harnessing cosmic energy. Cities floated in voids, sustained by artificial gravity and stellar energy, while entire worlds were reshaped to host resilient human colonies. Every challenge, from hostile environments to cosmic catastrophes, was met with innovation. Every failure became a lesson. Other species, those who lingered at the universe's edge, watched with awe. Where they saw inevitability and decay, humans saw opportunity. They converted dead planets into energy sources, redirected stellar remnants, and even experimented with bending space-time itself. No other species could have survived the death of stars, yet humans adapted, mastering challenges that seemed beyond the limits of existence. The pinnacle of their evolution came in the creation of the Lattice, a network of consciousness connecting humans across galaxies. Individual minds remained distinct, yet were capable of instantaneous communication, decision-making, and learning on a scale no single being could comprehend. Humans were everywhere and nowhere, dispersed across time and space, yet bound together by their shared identity and purpose. And still, humanity retained imperfection. Mistakes were inevitable, but mistakes became tools for growth. Humans turned chaos into opportunity, failure into innovation, and unpredictability into strength. Other civilizations had sought perfection, only to perish when their rigidity met the universe's unpredictability. Humans thrived because they embrace uncertainty, mastering survival not through control, but through adaptability. Even as the cosmos approached its final epochs, humans persisted. They witnessed galaxies fade and stars die, yet they endured, chronicling every moment, exploring every remaining mystery, and experimenting with creation itself. Life, they realized, was not merely survival. It was resistance, curiosity, and the audacity to exist when everything else had vanished. In the darkness, humanity became both historian and explorer, philosopher and scientist. They had transcended flesh and time, yet the defining traits of their species, the ability to adapt, to learn, and to endure, remained intact. The universe itself had become a canvas, and humans are painters, sketching their legacy across the void. The last witnesses. In the silent void, humanity remained. Stars had died, galaxies had collapsed, and civilizations that had once rivaled human ingenuity had vanished without a trace. Yet the human species endured, not in flesh, not in bones, not in planets, but as a living, thinking, ever-adapting consciousness that spanned the remnants of the universe. The lattice, a network of minds linked across vast distances, pulsed with awareness. Each node was a human consciousness, each consciousness a repository of memory, knowledge, and curiosity. History was alive within them. Every human who had ever lived, from the first fragile settlers of Earth to the pioneers of interstellar travel, echoed in their thoughts. Humanity had become both a species and a legacy, a living testament to endurance. Even in this final epoch, humans did not rest. They explored the faint stirrings of new matter, mapped the last whispers of collapsing galaxies, and experimented with the building blocks of existence itself. Survival was no longer a struggle. It was a choice, a deliberate act of curiosity. Every human mind sought not merely to endure but to understand, to witness, and to create. Other species, if any remained, observed humans with awe and fear. Where others saw finality, humans saw possibility. They had mastered imperfection, turning mistakes into lessons, chaos into opportunity, and uncertainty into advantage. They had endured the death of stars, outlasted civilizations, and transformed fragility into immortality. Yet, despite godlike powers, humans remained inherently human. They remembered Earth, its blue oceans and green forests. They remembered Lyra Chen on the Odyssey, facing the unknown, and Commander Elias Varga defending Proxima 9. They remembered every nameless human who had survived against all odds. These memories were sacred, reminders of their origin, and proof that survival was not only physical, it was moral, cultural, and spiritual. In the quiet of the void, the lattice reflected. Humanity had outlasted everything else in the universe, not through domination, not through brute force, but through persistence, ingenuity, and an unrelenting refusal to surrender. They were the last witnesses of a cosmos that had forgotten itself, the custodians of memory, the chroniclers of existence. And yet, even as the universe faded into darkness, new stars began to stir in distant corners, faint glimmers of creation waiting to be born. Humanity, in all its evolved, networked glory, would be there to witness it, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as eternal observers and explorers. They would watch, record, learn, and dream. They would endure as they always had. The universe ended. Galaxies collapsed, stars faded, and silence reigned. But humanity remained. A spark that had begun on a fragile blue planet had grown into a legacy beyond comprehension, a testament to resilience, curiosity, and the audacity to survive. Humanity was no longer just a species. Humanity was a story, a force, and a promise that life, no matter how fragile, could endure against all odds. And in the darkness, that spark, the spark of humanity, shone brighter than the stars themselves had ever dared.